Good evening, everybody. Today's topic on Let's Talk, it's about domestic violence and what are the protections given by the law. And to discuss about it, we have today a very distinguished lawyer, Dr. Shamsher Singh Thind. He is a Ph.D. holder in criminology. He's a doctor, not a medical doctor, but he holds doctorate in law. So we have a very distinguished person with us. Welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, Dato, for having me.
Okay. So how are you coping with the MCO and staying at home and all? Or
yeah,
are you forced to go
I've been I'm a law-abiding citizen. I follow the law.
Yes, of course. Okay,
Yeah.
I know. So how have you been keeping busy?
Okay, I mean, some of my works are still continue as per normal. Thanks to some of the decision made by our judges and AG that,
Okay.
and also the Bar Council, where we are allowed to do work online, especially e-filing and submission can be sent by emails, and so yeah.
Okay.
Just busy with some of those work, yes.
Okay, that's good. You see, recently, I think maybe 2 weeks back or something. Or at the after 2 weeks, they have started the MCO. There was some reports saying that there's been a spike in domestic violence. A lot of people are suffering in silence and do not know what to do. So, Doctor, when we say domestic violence, what does it mean in law?
Okay, let's put it this way. Domestic violence simply means the commission of crimes that already listed in the penal code and also in so many other pieces of legislation. However, when it comes to the offense committed between husband and wife, or even father and daughter, and mother and son, or mother and daughter, whenever there is the offender or the perpetrator is and has a special relationship, family relationship with the victim, what happens is that sometimes the police and the law enforcement officers, they tend to consider this as a domestic matter, as something like it's a personal matter, you see. And usually we don't report against our own family member. So when husband slaps the wife or the wife slaps the husband, police will normally consider this as a domestic matter. Please, settle it yourself amicably. See, so the purpose of the domestic violence is actually to confirm the fact that offender can be husband, the victim can be the wife. It's nothing strange about this. So that's the whole purpose of domestic violence. It is not to create new offense, so to speak. The offenses are still those offenses listed in the penal code. Some of the offenses are listed in other criminal codes. However, the purpose of the domestic violence, as I've said earlier, is just to create an awareness that, look, I understand that the person who beat is the husband or the father, and the victim is the wife or the son or the daughter, but that does not mean that you should not use the penal code. This was clearly mentioned in the Section 3 of the Domestic Violence Act. Basically, what the Parliament wants us, or rather the law enforcement officers, to realize is that, look, the offenses are in the penal code. The purpose of the domestic violence is just to remind you that when a husband slaps the wife, that is causing hurt within the definition of section, for example, 323 of the penal code. Then, even though if it is committed by the husband, it is still a penal code offense, and you should take some actions. That's it.
Okay, Doctor, you told me that enforcement, especially police, If it happens within family, and they will say, they have a tendency of taking it lightly. But shouldn't it be the case where those who are supposed to protect you, a father protecting the children, or the husband protecting the wife, shouldn't the law be more stringent towards them, or at least be the enforcement part of it must be just as stringent? What is your view on that?
Actually, it is. See, a slap is not just a slap. If it is committed by someone, a loved one, someone who's supposed to protect you. And I'm sure you're aware that has been an amendment to the penal code where section 326A, a new section has been introduced, whereby whatever the punishment fixed by the law earlier, for example, causing hurt, causing grievous hurt, if it is committed by, for example, a spouse, then the punishment is double. Okay. Now, why is it? The purpose of section 326A of the penal code, the reason why this section was inserted, this law was created for one reason only, to actually tell the message that, yes, it is wrong to cause a grievous hurt, but when the grievous hurt is caused by someone who's supposed to protect you, then it is not just causing hurt that is troublesome, but it's also the breach of trust, in the sense that you're supposed to protect me. So that is why the law, taking into this consideration, came up with this. It's actually a brilliant idea, where whatever the punishment fixed by the law under section 323, 324, 325, and 326, this punishment will be double in the case of, for example, violence caused by one spouse on the other.
So it is double. So there's double, in a way, there's more protection.
More increased penalty. Of course, a lot of people ask me, can criminal law prevent the occurrence of a crime? That is a bit of quite philosophical, because that is not actually the purpose of the criminal law.
Yes.
Yes. In a way, the purpose of criminal law, maybe the side effect is to discourage people from committing crime. Yes, but if someone is not discouraged, and actually he were to go on and commit the crime, that does not mean the failure of the criminal legal system.
Yes.
Criminal law, the purpose of criminal law, the main purpose, the primary purpose of criminal law is to punish an offender. So when an offense is committed, the purpose of criminal law is to punish. So if you ask me whether all these sections, a double punishment, increased penalty, will it help to curb the occurrence of the domestic violence? Of course, no. The answer is no. Law does not give you that guarantee. But what the law can give you is that in the event, if a husband were to commit, or the wife were to commit a domestic violence, i.e. to commit a crime like causing hurt, and to place someone under fear of hurt, in that sense, the law will take action. That is kind of the guarantee given by the law.
Yeah, but I think that if there's an awareness of the severity of your conduct, I think perhaps there could be a certain drop in those crimes. Okay, Doctor, one of the main issues, I think, is it at what point it becomes a domestic violence? Say, for instance, a father might slap on the wrist, give a slap on the wrist for the child, and then it might go on to a slap on the face, or sometimes they at the heat of a moment they might bang, and then the child is injured. Same thing with wife. At what point can a person consider that, okay, I'm suffering from domestic violence?
Okay, we all have heard this proverb, you spare the rod, you spoil the child, right? So some form of discipline is obviously necessary. It does not mean that every time the father or the mother slaps son or the daughter, that case will be considered as domestic violence. Yes, in Western country, yes. We have seen a case where a Malaysian, I believe in Sweden, or I can't remember offhand now, the father was actually arrested and charged in the court for the purpose of disciplining the child. Of course, he went a bit extra, but discipline probably the Malaysian way, but that is not acceptable in the European nation. So yes, I think our authorities are fully aware of a little bit of a slap and a whipping, which is, I think, to some extent for disciplinary reason. But what I think domestic violence will be when you have something, I would say, a different intention. Your intention is not just to discipline the person or discipline a child or to correct the child. Your purpose is actually extra. You went more than that. For example, your purpose is now to cause injury, to actual injury, or the purpose is you want to place that person in fear that some form of injury will be inflicted in the event. For example, you didn't listen to me, or if I ask you to do something and you don't do. Other possibility will be to force someone, a family member, to do something, either sexual or otherwise, against the intention of that person. So ultimately, it also depends on two things. Number one is the intention. What was the reason for you to do that? Whatever the action, whatever that you have done or you have not done, what was the purpose? Number one. And number two, I think they will also look at the severity of the injury. You see, you can slap someone continuously, breaking the jaws and the teeth and all that. Why? Oh, because my son is not listening to me, so I did this. So I think they consider two things. One is the intention. What was the reason, the motive, and the other one is probably the severity, of the damage, the consequence that you have caused. So I think that is the two things that will be considered.
Okay. Doctor, I think in the event of a child, it is a little easier. Okay, so we will know. But what about husband and wives? Sometimes a husband might beat the wife, and then they might say, I didn't intend it, or it was just an argument or quarrel that went bad. So at what point it's a quarrel, husband wife fighting, and at what point it becomes domestic violence?
Okay. Just before I answer that, I would like to just to clarify one thing. Although husband and wife has to be legally married, but for the purpose of Domestic Violence Act, it's clearly mentioned in the act that the spouse includes a de facto spouse. That means you are either you have married, because under the legal profession, the law deals with marriage and divorce, made it very clear that for a non-Muslim, you can only have one spouse at one time. But somehow, you can still traditionally get a second wife and third wife and so on, which is not legally recognized. But those spouses are also covered within this Domestic Violence Act. So that's one point. Okay. Now, the question was, although we are allowed to inflict some form of hurt to discipline a child, when it comes to disciplining the wife, of course, I believe that now the situation will be different because now we are dealing with an adult. You see, you are dealing with an adult. You're not dealing with a child anymore.
Yeah.
See, so now again, I do not want to touch about the tradition, the practice of certain culture, and I think if you go by that, it will be a bit difficult. But I think there is a general belief that I don't think you can actually slap your wife.
Okay.
I don't think so, because if you slap your wife, and if your wife were to take objection and lodge a report, police will take action. Yes. Especially nowadays when their police are fully aware. You see, so I don't think the husband can say, "Look, I was just merely disciplining my wife." I don't think it works that way.
Okay. Doctor, the law is quite clear about domestic violence and the protection given, but sometimes what happens is the wife, she might be hesitant to go and lodge a police report, or because you see, the moment you lodge a police report, it's a major step. That means you're putting your whole marriage on the line.
Correct.
right? Because it's a major step. Things won't go back to normal. So a lot of ladies, they will just tolerate it or just live with it. At what point they should go, in your view, and what can they do? Or is there any other steps before that, the drastic step of lodging a police report, making a criminal act? Before that, is there anything that they can do?
All right. Let's put it this way. Whatever the advice I'm going to share is just for the purpose of general understanding and not necessarily my specific advice, because of course, there is no such thing as one answer that fits all situations.
True.
Okay. If a husband were to, let's say, a very caring, responsible, loving husband, right? And let's say because of this MCO and because of this lockdown, let's say if he were to, in the heat of the moment, he were to lose, let's say, his control, and he were to slap the wife, for example. Now, what the wife should do, of course, I don't think I want to be in that position to advise what you're supposed to do. I think that person, that spouse, should be able to consider whether, do you consider this action of your, let's say, by your husband or your wife, something so normal that I don't think that, this thing is going to stop here. I think it's going to happen again and again and again. If that's the case, then you should decide whether you want to go for, taking the matter. Because if you lodge a police report, all right, then of course the chances are police will take action, number one. Now, even if you don't lodge a police report, you were to go and seek medical treatment. See, under the Domestic Violence Act, it is the duty. If you know that someone is suffering from domestic violence, the law says that you should inform the authorities. And if, let's say, you have informed, again, even if you did not lodge a police report, once you have informed, the police can somehow still take an action. All right, that's number one.
When you say inform who? The doctor or the
authorities? The authorities. Let's say,
hospital.
Sometimes they say, okay, I don't want to go to the police station because I don't want to consider. I don't want to make it a criminal act. You see, whatever happened is okay. I'll go to the hospital and get myself treated. See, what will happen now is that the doctor is under a legal duty to inform the authority that this woman, could be a victim of domestic violence. And the law says that the doctor cannot be later on sued by the husband, you see, because the law is protecting. If the doctor has reasons to believe that she is a victim of domestic violence, the doctor should inform. So what I'm saying is, even if you don't go to police station, even if you go to a doctor, the doctor is still under duty bound to inform the authority about this whole thing. And if, let's say, you feel that you don't want to inform the authority, or you don't want to inform a doctor or anybody else, then it's a bit difficult, because you will then have to suffer this again and again. But that is on condition that, whatever happened was not just one off or something that happened, out of in the heat of the moment. No. If it's something that happened regularly on a regular basis, then it is your duty to decide what you want to do. For example, when you wanted to marry this man, you did not consult any lawyer, you didn't consult any judge, you didn't consult any social welfare officer. You decided you want to get married. So similarly, when it comes to divorce or even separation, the decision should be made by that person. So yeah, that's all. So I think the issue is here, the woman should make a decision whether is this just something that she can forget and move on, or she want to take objection and she want to go to a lawyer and get some solution, for example. So if, let's say, she wants some solution, then yes, the law is there to provide solutions. But the law will not force you to, oh, your husband slaps you, okay, come, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you, you divorce your husband, and then, get a lawyer, and then, go for dissolution of the matrimonial property. You're actually making the whole thing you're making the whole thing worse.
Okay. Doctor, say for instance, it's not happening in a particular person's home, but the neighbor is beating up his child, or the wife is not able to lodge a police report, or the husband is beating up the wife, and it happens every night or every day. And you can see sometimes they're all injured and all. What is your advice, or what can the neighbor do, or can they do anything at all about it?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's clearly stated in Section 18 of the Domestic Violence Act, right, that if you have any information pertaining to domestic violence, whether it's between husband and wife, father and son or daughter, or even between siblings or whatever. So when you hear, like, every night she's crying, or every night you can hear someone is arguing and shouting and screaming, of course what you have to do is, as a neighbor, you should inform the police that this is what's going on. Okay, that is a law that's saying that if you have the information, please give the information to the authority. That's number one. And number two, you don't have to worry, because the same section is very clear that you cannot be sued by that family. So it could be whoever that, if you lodge a report and let's say the police were to investigate the father or the husband or the wife or whoever, that person cannot come and sue you. You are actually protected by the law. As long as you have.
Even if it's a
you are
neighbor.
Protected by the law. Sorry?
Okay. No. Say for instance, okay, you told me about the authorities, but what about if it's just a neighbor or a friend's, it's happening to a friend?
You mean so you want the neighbor to intervene on its own?
No. What I'm saying is, okay, say for instance, if I'm seeing my neighbor is suffering,
you can inform the authority.
I can inform them, lodge a police report?
Yes. You can lodge. Of course, you don't have to lodge a police report. All you have to do is you can just call the police and inform the police what's going on. The police will come and check. You don't even have to go, because I think that will be too much of expectation. To go to police station, lodge a report and come out, that will easily take 3 hours of your time, or even more. So I don't expect you to go to the police station, especially this kind of things will happen in the middle of the night. So I don't expect you or anybody to go to the police station. So all you can do is just inform. You can inform someone, and at least you have done your part there. See, sometimes there are some cases where women, especially, they have a lot of problems. They will come to me not for divorce or whatever other legal remedies, but they want me to talk to the husband so that not to do this to the wife. I say I can't really do that. You see. Even if I want to act as a mediator, I need the consent of the both parties. You see, I don't have the authority to call you and probably you can lodge a police report and let the police handle. Probably police have the authority.
Okay. We were talking about the law itself, and I know you're speaking as a lawyer, but since we're already here, is there any other recourse, or where if they are on the borderline case and the person doesn't want to go take the drastic action, but is there a counseling, or is there any organization where one of the spouses can go and refer the matter?
Under the Domestic Violence Act, there are actually, like I said, Domestic Violence Act primarily is not to punish the offender for committing the Domestic Violence Act. That is we have to refer back to the penal code for that purpose, and also the procedure will be governed by the Criminal Procedure Code. So that is one thing. So what is actually inside the inside the Domestic Violence Act? Number one is the protection order.
Okay.
So that's what at the end of the day you want. Okay, protection order, like I said just now, the purpose of the criminal law is to punish the offender, and the Criminal Procedure Code is all about the offender's right, his right to remain silent, his right to be to a fair trial, everything. But there is no position for the victim in the criminal justice system. Criminal justice system does not give much rights to the victim. Once you have lodged the police report, that's it. You sit at home. I will inform you. The police will inform you. Yes, police will inform you the progress of the case. DPP will then decide whether or not to charge. There's nothing you can do about it. So victim basically has no central role to play. Okay. However, in the Domestic Violence Act, it gives some protection to the victim. That means victim can come and say, look, this is what happened to me, and I fear this thing will be repeated. So what I need is not that because you may take time to punish him, you may take time to arrest, the person, to charge him and all that. So what I need is some kind of protection. So that's why we have a protection order. But unfortunately, protection order can only be given by the court when the perpetrator or the offender is charged in the court for the offense.
Okay.
That will take some time, you see.
Yeah. So what happens in the meantime?
So in the meantime, in the past, we have what we call IPO, Interim Protection Order.
Okay.
Now, Interim Protection Order, again, you have to go to the court and apply when the police start investigating the matter. So from the time the police is investigating the matter until the matter is, for example, decision is made by the DPP whether to charge or not. During this period, the IPO will protect you. And once the person is charged in the court, then you can apply to the court for the protection order that will protect you for 1 year from the time of issuance. Now, of course, the protection order can be renewed. In the event there is a violation, it can be renewed. But again, the problem is, like I said, protection order, you can get it only when the offender is charged in the court. And the IPO you can get, again, through the court when the police is investigating the matter. See, what happens sometimes, IPO can be applied by the victim, by the victim's lawyer, or even by the social welfare officer.
No, you don't have to wait for the police.
No, see, you don't have to wait for the police. But the problem is, IPO you can only apply when the police is investigating the matter. And again, you have to go to court. And sometimes it's when the issue is always when you will get your earliest possible date. You have the right to be heard, but when will you be actually heard? That is another issue. That is why there was an amendment to the law quite recently in 2017. During that, after that amendment, a new type of protection order has been introduced. That's called the Emergency Protection Order. We call it Perintah. So according to this Emergency Protection Order, no court is necessary. Number one, you don't have to go to court. Emergency Protection Order can be issued by a social welfare officer authorized by the Director General. So this is not just an ordinary social welfare officer. It is an authorized social welfare officer.
Where do we go?
So playing the role of a judge. Sorry?
If I'm a victim, where do I go look for them? Or must I engage a lawyer?
You have to look. No, you don't have to engage a lawyer. You don't even have to lodge a police report. All you have to do is you can walk into the social welfare office, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, and you can actually ask the person there, I want to speak to the authorized social welfare officer because I need an emergency protection order, EPO. All right. Now, under the law, EPO must be issued within 2 hours. In the event there is a merit in the complaint, in the event there is a merit in the complaint, and in the opinion of the authorized social welfare officer, that you need to issue an EMO, then it should be issued within 2 hours. Now, the best part of the EMO is that once it has been issued, it is not your job to serve it on whoever the person that you want to prevent. Let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say it is a wife complaining against the husband. All right, it is not for the purpose of the wife to actually serve the order onto the husband. That job will be done by the police. So the social welfare officer, the authorized social welfare officer, will give a copy of that the order to the OCPD, and the OCPD then will instruct one of the officer to actually serve it on the husband. And the best part is that, yep,
Go on.
2 hours, the timeline is given there. 2 hours for the emergency protection order to be issued by the authorized social welfare officer, number one. And then within 10 hours, the authorized social welfare officer must serve that EPO on the OCPD.
Okay.
And the OCPD or the police will then serve on the husband within 12 hours. So if you count, all this is within 1 day. 2 hours for the issuance of the EPO, then 10 hours for the social welfare officer to give to the police, and then police to the husband, 12 hours. So 2, so 10, and 12, hours. Maximum 1 day, 24 hours. Okay. That person has been served with a copy of the EPO. Okay, of course, the natural question will be then, what happens if the husband is not there? It's not available. Okay, what the police can do to leave that order at the last known address, number one, or the police can serve in any other way as directed by the social welfare officer. So of course it's left. They left it open, maybe by email, maybe by WhatsApp. So I've not come across any of this situation yet, but I believe that the social welfare officer will be able to decide what will happen in the event the person is not there at that last known address.
Okay. Usually, what does the order say? What does it restrict? Okay, because you see, a husband and wife, they might be they'll be living under one roof. The wife might not have another place to go. Husband is there, wife they are there. Does the order ask the husband to leave the premises, or
there are in the order? In fact, there is a provision where for the woman to be taken to a temporary shelter.
All right, and the children as well, I suppose.
Yes, that's one possibility. The other one is to ask the husband to leave, if it is the only way to enforce the order.
Okay.
Because the order can say that the order basically, when it comes to emergency protection order, the order basically is two things: not to harm your wife or spouse or any other family member, number one, and number two, not to even put them in such fear that if you can't make threats and you can't actually carry out those threats and cause those harms. So this is basically to protect you from being harmed, either psychologically or physically. All right. So as long as this thing can be done, then the issue of the house is not really the matter here, because you can be in two different rooms, you see, as long as you follow this order. But again, this is depend on the place, the situation, and how dangerous the man is, and so many other factors that have to be considered. Okay. So I feel that there is a list of orders that can be made by an authorized social welfare officer. So what is necessary here is that the person who is seeking for an emergency protection order, that person needs to tell exactly what happened, what's the problem, and what are the risks there, so that the authorized social welfare officer can issue the appropriate order.
Okay. No, Doctor, the reason why I asked that question was because, you see, unless the victim knows for sure, once she has taken that step, whether to approach the welfare officer or lodge a police report, after that, there's no turning back. And that once that is done, the law will protect, and there won't be a delay, or there will be a loophole where the husband can still inflict harm on her. Okay. Doctor, the other interesting point that you said is not to harm physically or psychologically. Psychologically, if a person, is it possible under domestic violence, where the spouse psychologically tortures you to the extent that it amounts to an offense?
Okay, these the psychological injury, I think is not I think it's difficult for us to list out what are the situations that fall under psychological injury. See, it can be something like, I'm going to punch you. If you leave the house, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to burn your phone, or I'm going to cause injury to someone else. So there are actually so many issues there. And even to the extent, even if, for example, there is a recent amendment to the Domestic Violence Act, one of the factor that has been considered to be domestic violence is if I talk to a third party, and for example, I'm enjoying, I'm talking to this person, I'm having a good time, and I'm telling to that person, all the bad things about, let's say, my wife. She is this, she is that. I'm not talking to my wife anything, but I'm talking to a third party so loud that my wife can hear. And that has also been considered as some form of emotional or psychological attack on her, and she is entitled for the protection order. But let's make it clear that the emergency protection order is only applicable when is only applicable to prevent the husband or the wife or anybody in the family from causing hurt, physical hurt, or from causing from putting the person in fear of some form of injury. Not any other things. It's only for this. So presumably is actually to prevent the husband from doing something that is so drastic, things like causing hurt and that. For other issues, for other ways of domestic violence, you have that time to obtain a protection order or interim protection order. It is always a causing hurt that we have to stop. Sometimes we see the emergency is there. For example, we have seen so many times husband and wife quarreling in public place. We don't intervene. Nobody will intervene. Let them argue out. But the moment you see the husband and wife or start punching or start slapping each other, that is where normally the public will go and intervene. So I think the concept is same. It's only when there is a real injury or real threat, then there is you need some form of intervention.
Okay, doctor, just to complete this, I just want to ask, we have been talking about the wife is the victim and all, because I've seen cases where, very rare of course, where the husband is a victim. So so does it apply both ways?
Yeah, I mean the law doesn't distinguish or doesn't discriminate. And in fact, if you look at the definition of family member, domestic violence, of course, related to family, it's not only husband, wife, and the siblings. The children, but also extend to grandparents, like I said, the de facto wife, also the de facto husband, of course, and then and also any other person, although there is no blood relationship, but in the eyes of the law, they have been staying so. Let me put it this way: they have been staying in one house in such a way as if they are family members. Even that person is entitled to enjoy this protection.
So it covers quite a wide area.
Quite a wide area, because the purpose here is this: we want to protect people. That is the purpose of the law, right? To protect people. So they want to bring in as many people as they can within the definition of family, so that they can actually entitle to this all this protection order and interim protection order and the emergency protection order. You see, you don't need any kind of law. For example, I don't need to be your family for the law to protect me. When it comes to, let's say, causing injury, we can be strangers. We can be enemies. Yet you have no right to cause hurt to me. That is the penal code. Penal code is very clear. Even strangers, enemies, whoever, you are not supposed to harm anyone. But when we are dealing with two strangers, Domestic Violence Act doesn't apply. So I cannot just go and get a protection order to stop you. For that, I have to go through the other ways, to civil court for injunction and all that. That's the normal one. But the reason is this: if we are strangers, the chances for us to come into contact will be quite rare. If I don't like you, I'll just go away, or you will walk away, and that's it.
Yep.
And there's no reason for me to come to you again and again. You see, I don't have to see your face again. But that is not the case when we're dealing with family members. We are staying in the same house, or in the same locality, for example, and there's always a need. You see, the wife, like I said, she may not want to divorce the husband for some reason, so she wants to stay in that house. But at the same time, she doesn't want to continue to be victimized by this man. So what is the solution then? She doesn't want the husband to go to jail. She doesn't want a divorce. Then what? So probably this sort of protection order will be there to warn the husband not to do it again while we are investigating whatever you have done, but don't do it again. In the process, that after that, few days has passed, maybe you will realize that what you have done. Probably you want to reconcile. That is also possible.
Okay. So, so doctor, am I right in saying the law, the protection given by the law is there? I think it has covered it sufficiently. I think the enforcement method is also there now, and what is left is for the victim or friends of the victim to actually apply and use this law and avail themselves to all this protection to protect themselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, see, like I said, the law is there. So the law is there. So it's up to you if you want to use it.
Okay. Okay, doctor, we have already past the 40 minutes mark. So I think we can conclude the program. But before we conclude, is there anything else that you'd like to say that I've not asked?
Okay. There is one Talian Noor, they call it Talian Noor, N-U-R, Noor. Number is 15999.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay. What is the number? I'll try to put it on the screen. What is the number?
15999.
So 39. So that's 5 digits, is it?
Yes, that's correct.
They call it Talian?
Noor, N-U-R.
N-U-R. So they can call this. So I'm just going to.
Yeah, this is actually Talian Noor or Talian Kase. I think that's the number is there. That's the number 15999.
Okay.
Basically, this is it's a government operated line. Basically, it's like a 999.
Okay.
So I do not know what is the 15 in the beginning. Maybe it means something.
You can see the number there? On the screen. No, on your screen. I think it's appearing on the screen. Okay.
All right. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, Talian Noor or Talian Kase. Yeah. So basically, the purpose of this line is to provide. It's like a 999, but for the case of domestic violence. So if you feel that you don't want to call the police by dialing 999, then probably you can call this number and they will be able to guide you. Because you see, sometimes you are not in the vicinity of the Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. You can't just go there. You see, sometimes you need you don't have the transport. You may not have the means to, you are unable to drive. So it's not easy for you to just walk in to Jabatan Kebajikan for the purpose of EPO or even for the purpose of lodging a report or whatever. So maybe probably you can call this number and let's see what sort of assistance. Of course, I've not tried this number. I've given this number to others. They may have called it. I'm not sure. So if Dato, probably you want to call and check and see if the number works. And
okay, but doctor, I think especially this number is so important now during the MCO, where it's quite difficult for the wife or anyone to go out or go out unnoticed. Sometimes they can just do it. Normal days they can pretend as if they're going to work or going to a shop and they can lodge a report. But I think now you're watched all the time, so I think that number is really helpful. And doctor,
but just to one point, Dato, MCO doesn't mean you can't leave the house if you are being threatened. I think that MCO, in a normal situation, of course, you're not supposed to go out. But if you are in emergency, then you should actually, if necessary.
But the husband is there, and You know,
Yes.
you might beat you up at night, and morning is good with you, and then you can't just sneak out of the house without him knowing.
Yes, true.
That's what I meant.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Doctor, you have really given us a lot of useful information. I think those who are suffering, or those who know anyone who's suffering, I think if they've heard or if they've listened to this your talk and explanation, I think it would have been of great help for them. And I really thank you on behalf of all your audience for taking time to explain, and you have explained it so well. I think that the PhD is there. I mean, you can see the difference. So it's good. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine, Dato'. Yes.
And before I go, I'd just like to ask this one question, not law. I'll ask my guest. Okay, what is the one philosophy of life that you live by?
Philosophy of life, for me, I think I'll say in Punjabi, he said "Jio or Jeene do." It means live and let others live. I think for me, of course, the bottom line is that you should enjoy your life, because life is short, and there's nothing certain in life. So enjoy your life as much as you can, regardless of the situation, and let others enjoy as well. So there should be a minimal intervention. Of course, we still need law to regulate human behavior. We can't just let you do whatever you want. But I feel that at least some room should be given for us to be creative, for us to be happy. So that is my philosophy. Yeah, one of the philosophies.
Thank you,
so to speak. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Dato'. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have listened to Dr. Shamsher Singh Thind. He has given very good explanation. If you're suffering domestic violence, you can call the number given by doctor, or you can also go to the social welfare department, as he has explained, or if you have known anybody, anybody who's suffering, you can also advise them. And if you want to get in touch with Dr. Shamsher Singh Thind, I didn't have the time to put it on the scroll bar. You can contact him via Messenger on his Facebook, or if you message me, then I can link you up with Doctor if you need further clarification or further assistance. Once again, Doctor, thank you so much for spending time with us, and thank you, audience, for listening and being with us today. Tomorrow, we are going to have Tabla Master Prakash Kandasamy. He's going to make his tabla sing. Okay, so I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Good night. Stay home, stay safe, and stay strong. Thank you.